And with that, we are going to kick off Sprint Demos 4.58.0. I was trying to think of a chemistry joke, but I couldn't think of any. So I'm just going to hand it off to George.
To me, you
That
say.
was
You
terrible.
don't mean
That
Sharon?
was terrible.
Oh, I'm sorry. Endpoint opposites first. Thank you. I'm going to hand it off to Sharon. I was just too proud of myself.
There you go.
You think too much, Luke.
I was thinking too much. Sorry.
Okay.
I overthinked it.
Happy Friday, everyone. We'll start with a nice feature. As many of you know, we are currently, before that, we are using a lot of tools to integrate with to run scripts. And this feature allows us to run scripts directly upon a policy failure. I'll hand it over to Ian and Jacob to present it.
Cool. So I'll be presenting this one. Jacob did 99% of the front end, and I did 99% of the back end, and he took 1% of back end, and I took 1% of front end. So group effort there. So as a Fleet user, I want a policy failure in Fleet to trigger a script run on a host so that I can run scripts on many hosts without having to use a third-party automation tool, for example, Tines. This kind of the idea behind this is that when a policy fails, that represents a host that's out of spec. And there are a lot of things that you can just resolve by running a script on that host to bring it back in line. So with this change, customers don't have to juggle multiple tools to bring a host back into policy compliance. Policy automations on software installers was kind of a special case of this, but now we open a lot more use cases just within Fleet itself by allowing for script runs. With that, I will switch over to a quick demo of how to set this up within the Fleet UI. GitOps and, of course, the API are also supported. And then we'll take a quick look at documentation as well. Let's take a look at the new script policy automation functionality.
Ian, we don't hear it well.
Policy that's set up. Okay.
Might need to reshare and share audio.
Yes. One moment.
I do hear the audio. It's just rather quiet.
Yep, I forgot to check the box. Let's try this again. Let's take a look at the new script policy automation functionality landing in Fleet 4.58. So to start, we have a policy that's set up in a host that's failing that policy. Right now, there isn't any automation action taken on this host. Let's change that. So if we go back to the policies list, go to Manage Automations, click Run Script, and go ahead and add this script here and save. Right now I have something that's watching the directory that will be echoing a little bit of information into when this script runs. Let's go ahead and refresh this host so this happens a little bit more quickly. So we'll note that the script is queued here, and we'll run here in a few seconds. Note that when policy automations are changed either for the query or the script that's running, then we reset things so that if the policy still fails, then we'll re-execute the script. I'll demonstrate that now. Save that. And then we'll need to change to this. Save that. Refetch. Let's refresh the page here. We'll see that there is another script queued by this policy automation. We hop over here, and this script will run shortly. And there you go. This is available for Fleet Premium and is accessible both via the UI and GitOps. All right, so let's take a look at the documentation on this. There will be a new guide for how to interact with this feature, whether that's ClickOps, the REST API, or GitOps. We've also added a flag on the scripts guide indicating that now we can automate things. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
I do have one that comes to mind, which is, are there any of the limitations that exist around like the way scripts run, like what we say is a sync versus an execution, and like you have to pass the script body or not? You know, I guess I'm wondering like how it fits into the way the script API currently works, and if that's
Sure.
going to be covered in the guide. Yeah.
So the way that this works is we do use our existing script run infrastructure, and the script has to be defined beforehand. So you will upload a script into the controls script section, and then refer to that previously uploaded script in the policy automation. So under the hood, that operates by using the script ID, and that is exposed in the API. Now with GitOps, basically you'll specify the script path twice, once in control scripts and once in the actual policy automation run script entry, and you'll refer to the same path in both of them. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Yep.
And Brock, this works very similar to the way that we do install software. Also policy-based install software, you have to upload a software, and then upon a failure of a specific policy, you can choose that. In general, the policy automation thing starts to grow to a really nice thing. We have the calendar, we have the install software, we now have the run script, so starting to become a thing.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Ian?
Saw Harrison had a question. Will this support Shell, Z Shell, and PowerShell from release day?
Yes. And the way that that'll operate is, again, same script infrastructure that we use to run async scripts if you navigated to them via the browser. And we do filter based on host OS. So if you have a shell script, then that is not going to run on Windows hosts. And likewise, if you have a PowerShell script, it's not going to run on Mac or Linux, because as of the current release of FleetD, if we push that down, it wouldn't do the right thing.
Awesome. Well, I know this has been a top item on a lot of wish lists internally, and look at all the customers and prospect labels. So great work, team. Thank you for getting this out.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Ian and Jacob, for delivering this. Next, we have, speaking of software, we have another software format, RPM, supported, and Lucas will present it. Lucas,
wait, real quick. Happy 3 years to Luke.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey.
All right. Hey, everyone. So yes, RPM support. As an IT admin on the software page, I want to upload RPM files so that I can install software manually or via policy automation for RPM-based Linux distributions like Fedora or Red Hat Linux. Yeah, basically that. You can now, via Fleet, install software on these distributions. Previously, we weren't able to do that, so I'll demo that. So I have a Fedora image. I did test this on a Red Hat Linux 9. It also works there. But given the amount of memory that the VMs consume, I'll just test this on Fedora. All right, so let's go to software. I'm gonna go workstation canary, just a sec. Yeah, we have the Fedora there. So we can now go to add software. This is cool, I wanna see this, but let's go to custom package. You can now see that we have RPM there. So we can choose a file, I believe. All right, so it will allow you to upload an RPM. This may fail, but let's just see. All right, it will show Linux here, and then by default, install script will use DNF, which is currently the default on the recent distributions for Fedora and Red Hat and CentOS. I also tested this on CentOS 7, even though it's super old, but it worked. And then obviously for an install, we also use DNF remove, and it seems to be working with several RPMs that we're using. But again, the admin can change this and adapt. So let's try to add this. Maybe it will fail. All right, yeah, it already exists. I forgot to remove it before the demo, but basically it's there. So let's do available software. And now we have an RPM package here, 1Password. So what I'm gonna do now is go to this Fedora software. It's already installed on, again, I forgot to remove it, but let's do it on the demo. Right? We can also uninstall, right, from 457. So we'll go ahead and uninstall this RPM package. Shouldn't take long, so let's just wait a couple of seconds. Oh, this also obviously works on GitOps. You can set RPM packages on GitOps. I also tested this self-service on Red Hat Linux 9, and it works, right, through the My Device page. So everything that works, you know, for Debian and PKG and you know, Windows works for RPM now with distributions. All right, let's refresh. I think it should be gone. All right, it's gone. So let's go to details just real quick. I can show you that it uninstalled using the DNF remove. And let's quickly install and yeah. And again, I tested this on Fedora 38 and 40. But any Fedora version that has DNF should work. I think DNF was added like several years ago, so I think we should be good there. Okay. All right. Any questions so far with the RPM? So before wrapping up this feature, I wanted just to mention one caveat. Obviously, policies now you can tie a policy to an RPM package, right, with the install software. So for example, I have a policy here, 1Password installed on and up to date on Red Hat systems, and I chose 1Password app. But there's a caveat here that if I go to this policy, currently we only have like macOS, Windows, Linux, and Chrome, right? Eventually we should be more granular in the future maybe, but currently this policy will run also on Debian hosts, right? This is in case you have a team that workstations team where you have like Ubuntu and RPM distributions. So to do that, we are documenting an approach that you can do to work around that, which is just doing something like this, where you check if the host is, if it's not a Red Hat host, then the policy will succeed. Otherwise, we check that the password and 1Password app is running. But again, we'll probably improve this in the future. The same for DEV. DEV should do the same thing. If the platform is Red Hat based, then the policy should succeed, right? Otherwise, check for the app. All right, lastly, let's just check the host is up there and installed. And if not, then we can probably continue the demo with something else because this may take some time. Yep, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Lucas and Rachel, for this feature. This concludes the MDM automation part. So back to you, Luke. And happy third Fleetiversary, Lucas. That's 3 years. It's a lot. Is a lot in a startup. So that's
Thank
a
you.
wow.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And like I said, working with such a great team makes the time go fast. Over to MDM for MDM features. George, really cool to see the Fleet app library that they're going to demo, and amazing job turning it around so quickly, coming in late in the sprint. We thought it might take 2 sprints when we were designing it, and y'all finished it in less than a sprint. So great job.
Also careful, it's not the Fleet app library. It's Fleet maintained apps.
Oh, right. Yep, you're right. We've changed
Heyo.
it. Fleet
It's
app
only
library.
gone through 4 names so far. I believe.
Right. Fleet
Uh-huh.
app library has been struck from our vocabulary. It is fleet maintained apps, which we think is
I
where
Put
have
a dollar in the jar.
I
have a
always
very
remember it
important-
as Full Metal Alchemist. So showing off this new wonderful feature will be Haziel.
fleet maintained apps, which I will say makes more sense, I think, because we want to differentiate from apps. Your app library is everything. Apps you might upload, apps from VPP, apps we maintain. So this is a clear indication of these are apps that Fleet maintains, but not necessarily the entire library.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, apologies if there are any issues. My house still doesn't have power from Hurricane Helene. Everything else is fine. It's just that the power was knocked out, like the cable was ripped out of the wall in the house, and getting it connected again is a big hassle. So I'm at my parents' house that doesn't have as great Wi-Fi. But I think I should be able to make it. So yeah, this is the fleet maintained apps for macOS. We all know this was a very requested feature. But the user story, as an IT admin, I want to select a fleet maintained app so that I can install the app on my macOS hosts without having to upload a package on my own. So this is essentially just going to introduce another source of being able to install applications on hosts. These are going to be, like it says, fleet maintained. So we're starting off with 20 very common or popular apps that are used by our customers and prospects. And so they will be able to pull directly from this list and install on their hosts. So let's go ahead and take a look. And also, like it says in the agenda, this was a total team effort. Again, everyone contributed to this, so it's definitely not just me. So yeah, shout out to the team. Oh wait, no, you're not supposed to see that yet. Okay. So if we go to the software tab, we have a new flow for adding software. So previously, when you would click add software, you would see a modal pop up, but now when you click, you're actually taken to this page that kind of structures things a little bit nicer. So you've got 3 different tabs to choose from to add software to a team. We start off with fleet maintained, and I'll come back to this, but then you can also load from your VPP connection if you have VPP configured. And then finally, you have custom package. So this is just the, you can upload your custom installer here. But this is, just kind of a nicer flow for users as the add software feature or part of the app was getting more complex. I think this organizes it a lot nicer. So, but yeah, so this is the fleet maintained list, and you see here we've got some very popular apps like Chrome and Code and Notion and things like that. So let's go ahead and add something. I'm going to go with Slack. If we expand the advanced options, you can see that we've got all the usual things like a pre-install query. You can edit the install script, add a post-install script. You can actually, I'm going to add something here. So we can see that happen after the installation, and then an uninstall script. And I should mention the source for these apps is we're getting it from Homebrew. So we generate this uninstall script and the install script, I guess, based on what the Homebrew recipes show for these applications. So we're like generating this on the fly for each of those applications that we're loading in from Homebrew. All right, so we can go ahead and add the software, and what this is going to do is download the installer from the one, like the URL that's configured in Homebrew for Slack. So I'm going to go ahead and add it. This might take a second because we're downloading it, but we should see this load in here in a minute. We need some like Wi-Fi is slow background music. Aha, here we go. Okay, great, cool. So Slack is added now to team one, and so now we can go ahead and actually see this work. So this host over here is just one that I have added to this team. This is the screen share for the MacBook that I have open here on my desk. So we can go ahead and search for available to install. We see that Slack shows up, so we can go ahead and install it. And again, this could take a little bit of time, but it shouldn't be too bad. You can see here that it's showing up in the activity just like any other software install would. Will it work? Will it work? Yay, okay. Awesome, cool. So you can see here that we just installed Slack. If we open up Launchpad here on the host, you can see that Slack is installed and ready to go. And if we take a look at the details, we should be able to see, okay, awesome. So the post install script ran. You can see the little log there. And yeah, that's the install process. So like I showed, there's that uninstall script that we create as well. So we can go ahead and uninstall it. We will go back and, well, that's not good. It's vulnerable. But we can go ahead and uninstall it. And we should be able to see that. Yeah, so it should be in the activities. Cool, so it's gone. And yep, that's good to go. Cool, so that's kind of an overview of what the flow looks like. I have not been looking at the chat. Take a look.
Thank you very much, Javier. Yeah, ultimately, there's a couple questions on how do we QA this? How are we maintaining them? Currently, all 20 of these apps that we've added have been attempted and successfully installed at least once. And then there is an update when Brew updates their definition of a version of these apps. the customer will get the latest definition. So we are every hour, I believe, pulling this homebrew metadata to update the way that we generate these install scripts and the latest version that Brew is supplying. And then when you click add, you're adding a static instance of those scripts and uninstall scripts and version into your available software. So we are not currently, as of this release, doing any kind of auto updates. It's when you go through the process that Haziel just did, you get that version added to your available software. And then that is static. If you go ahead and delete that software, and then Brew has a new version, when you use Fleet Maintained Apps to add it again, you will get the new latest version. That is how it all currently works.
And as we iterate in Q4, we'll be adding functionality around keeping it up to date automatically, locking it at a specific version, that type of stuff. Quick question on QA. Have we, as part of our testing, have we installed and uninstalled each of the apps successfully?
I believe Roberto has been the one doing that long list of labor.
Yeah, we did every one of them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Just after the P0 this week, wanted to double check.
I have a very important question. Is it fleet maintained apps, or is it fleet maintained apps? Because I've seen it both ways.
Yeah, both ways. I think it should be a dash everywhere.
You heard it here, people. Use the dash.
Also, really quick, we have on the documentation side, we have a ticket tracking a guide to be added. So that's still TBD, but definitely coming because this is big enough for a guide, I think, on its own. So
yeah, that's awesome.
That's it.
Cool. Great work, team.
And then secondly, we've got a demo by Sarah for a new progress bar indicator on software file uploads.
All right, here we go. I will start by reading the story. My computer is very slow today, so I apologize if that's coming through. Yeah, it may be crashing at this point. I'm not sure what's going on in my activities, but here we go. As an IT admin, I want to see the upload progress for software packages without timeout so I can deploy large software to my fleet. And to do that, we have updated our interface. You've seen the add software page that we have in Haziel's demo just a second ago, but the custom packages moved to this tab here. So we'll click over there and we will choose a program to add. I've turned down my network speed for heightened dramatic tension and in solidarity with Haziel. So we're going to add this package here and we'll upload it and we'll see an upload progress bar. And I'll leave it slow for a second just to show you that, you know, if you try to navigate away, you'll get a warning. So let's not do that. And then I will go ahead and speed us up so we don't wait forever. There you go. Any questions?
I've got no questions, but it looks great. Thank you so much. Alrighty, that concludes our MDM features for this release.
Awesome. Thanks, thanks both product groups. Those are some exciting features to get out. And this is also the last sprint of the quarter. And I think as y'all recall and have experienced, we had an ambitious list of features when we kicked off the quarter that we wanted to build to reach competitive parity with Jamf. And we've accomplished that. All the tickets that we had at the beginning of Q1. There's been some new learnings that we're still working on, but the ambitious list we set out, we delivered on. So great work on that, and just huge steps in feature and value add over the course of Q3, maybe more than any other time. So awesome to see. And we're gonna take the next sprint to do a quality pass and make sure that we have everything buttoned up and working well. let's see, is there anything else that we are demoing?
Yeah, we have a few endpoint ops features.
Oh, right, endpoint ops demos. So over to endpoint ops for the endpoint ops features.
Okay, so we have a few more features. Tim and Rachel will start with adding Windows battery health query. Take it.
Hey everybody, so let's go ahead and take a look at this new feature that we are adding. So the user story is, as an IT admin on the host details page and the My Device page, I want to be able to see Windows battery health, so I know if a Windows workstation should be replaced. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the battery health that we show on Fleet currently. We have this My Device page, and both there and on the host details page, we have battery condition. We added this new tooltip here that both Tim and I researched what we should use as our threshold of a healthy battery. So Sarah did some work, I think it was like issue like 6,000 something, in which we found out that M1 Max were showing the incorrect battery health. And so she used a cycle count that is below 1,000 as a healthy battery. And we researched a little bit more on what we should use across both Macs and Windows. And so if you look at Mac's idea of battery health for a MacBook, it is to retain 80% of its original capacity and complete 1,000 charge cycles. So if you're unaware of what a charge cycle is, it's basically one full, like 100% battery usage. So if you use 50% one day, you charge it, use 50% the other day, that's one battery cycle being used. And so Tim in the back end created the code to make sure that we are checking for both battery health of at least 80% of its design capacity, and as well as the 1,000 charge cycles. So I'm just going to show you guys this query on dog food on all of our Mac and Windows hosts that are online right now. And I added a column that includes max divided by designed capacity to show you the 80%. So this is kind of a gauge on our fleet's battery health. So here we can see our design capacities for different workstations. Here's our max capacity, and then max divided by design is here. You can see wonderfully everybody is reaching that 80% threshold. You can also see that a lot of the Macs say check battery. And so this has been a issue that has been filed over and over because we don't have docs on this fix that we did back in the 6,000s. So there will be docs along with this as well. And you can see here our cycle count. Nobody has reached 1,000 yet, which is awesome to see. And what else? So if you have a normal battery, it looks like this. And if you have one that needs a recommendation of a change, you'll see the exact opposite tooltip with the service recommended on it. And then Tim, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to clarify we're aligning definitions of battery health between macOS and Windows. So it's the same definition for everybody. And we are going to document that. That is something we're going to complete this week or next week, early next week.
Awesome.
Any more questions about the battery health? Okay, if not, we'll continue with Team and an added label for Fedora Linux.
Yeah, super quick one here. Continuing down our expanding on Linux support. We have, let me find that story real quick. So we have some customer requests to add Fedora Linux as a built-in label. And I'll show what that looks like real quick, at least in the UI. I think the original ask was to is to get this from the host summary, but there's also some remnants here in the UI just by adding built-in labels. And I have a Linux VM right here. And look, we have magically the front end pulls in our labels. And so click on Fedora Linux and we can filter by those devices. That's it.
Thank you, team. Next, a customer that has many teams asked us to do operations on software one time for many teams, and Eric will present a way to do that from an external website. Please take it, Eric.
All right. So user story for this is as a help desk at a white label MSP. I want to upload a Windows package to many teams so that I can trigger software install using the install package API. So to do this, we added software page to bulk operations dashboard. And this is all the software that's currently on my Fleet instance. Here, users can add, edit, delete, and download software installers. And also filter by teams. So, just going to add Vim. Just won't deploy this to any teams yet. So this will be stored in the dashboard's file storage until it's deployed to a team. And I'm just gonna do all teams. And go here, see that there, and can also edit reinstall query, install script, post install script, and uninstall script. Or remove software or download installers. And that's it.
Thanks, Eric. This is super cool. Maybe we want it in the in our server UI as well. Something to think about. And Luke, these were all the features. We have more bug fixes coming next, but back to you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Great demo, Eric. That is a huge quality of life improvement for customers who have a lot of teams, who today have to go into every team individually and upload software or upload a script and apply it. So that makes their jobs much, much easier and increases the overall value of Fleet for customers with lots of teams. Moving on. So I think that is all of the features we're going to be demoing. Everything else is going to be bug fixes. And again, engineering manager or engineer, welcome to talk through the list. And first, we're going to go to MDM improvements and released bug fixes that were contributed by the Endpoint Ops product lead.
Yeah, so instead of me reading it out, I'll let Rachel and Jacob read it. We are not demoing it, but a few words on each line, maybe. Take it, Rachel.
Hey, so sorry. Totally forgot I'm demoing next. Where are we right now? Yeah, okay, so because of one of my P2s being pushed to next sprint, I had a lot of capacity to work on bugs. So this one I did want to demo real quick. It's just if you go to controls and you go to your targets here, if we had empty text, we had a placeholder, if you can see it here, that users were getting confused whether or not that was a deadline and a minimum version that was being set. So now those placeholders are taken out, which is great. And then some of these other ones are a lot smaller, like removing an extra word issues with some icons and drop downs overlapping. And then here's to you, Jacob.
Thanks. You want to just keep? I'll take the share then. Yeah.
Oh, do that, Roy.
So we had just a small change of 400 to a 500 to a 400, and then Ian recommended a 409, which I had never implemented, which is a conflict. So that's now a 409. This was a bug that if you upload a software package, if a user uploads a software package, that user is deleted, and then that software package is tied to a policy automation software install. The upcoming activity for that software install was missing its actor. Very kind of edge case, but we found it, and so now it has the actor. Thanks, Lucas, for helping with that one. And it's work in progress, still writing some tests. And this update success message was just a copy change. That's it.
Thank you. And that's it for the MDM fixes.
All right, muted. Great, thank you. Those are some cool fixes. And that placeholder text had confused me. So appreciate that, Rachel. What's the placeholder text now? Is there none or?
It's empty.
Okay, cool. And over to George for MDM improvements and bug fixes.
All righty, we just had a couple here. I will show the list. Google Chrome on macOS isn't showing icon, pretty small thing. We'll take a look at the details later. When using GitOps, Apple Business Manager aren't set back to default it was just a GitOps myth on a setting. Profile removals fail if host never received the profile. This one is one of those bugs that customers would get very concerned about because it would look like a failed profile, where now, the fact that it was never delivered, it could not remove it was the error. So now we properly just remove it from the list of profiles that need to be uninstalled, and it looked successful to the customer.
Hey, George, is the fix there that there will never be a red banner for that situation, or is it something that they actually will see feedback?
The profile removal happens successfully. There's no indication at all in activity feed or anything that would show you when a profile is removed.
Okay.
From it, this is on the host details. So host details, you go log in, look at their list of profiles for that individual host. If they never got the profile that was already removed from the team, it would show up as a failed profile because it failed to remove it because it did not exist. Now it is not in their list of profiles. So there will be no indicator.
Some of us could have profiles like that are kind of these ghost profiles that are stuck.
Sure.
I've had one for a long time. So I'm looking forward because I really want to have that green check mark on my host, and I can't because I had this failed profile from months ago. So that's what this addresses.
Yep, absolutely. Noah added a missing guide for us. We've got a update for Escrow Buddy that was found on macOS Sequoia, where after the upgrade, it is no longer in the authorization database. So there would be a pop-up to the end user that has been resolved. And then missing package name in software title. We'll take a look at these. This was the what it should have looked like, what it had looked like with the bug, and now it has been resolved back to the proper icon. We've got when using GitOps, Apple Business Manager aren't set back to default. We basically lost our teams. They were set back to all teams. So this has been resolved as well. We've got profile removal fails as we just discussed. I don't have any interesting pictures to show you here. This is one where basically the software title would override the package name, the file name for the package. This has also been resolved, so it should look like the correct file name for the package again. And then this was the, oh, there's no pictures here as well. I know, let's see, what was this one? No. There was a Slack thread where there were pictures of what this would look like. But basically it would be a system notification to the end user that no longer pops up. And that concludes the MDM bug fixes.
Cool, thank you. Now back to endpoint ops, where the endpoint ops bug fixes and improvements. Looks like there's a good long list, which is great to see.
Yeah, fair amount. Rachel, please, same rule, no demo, but a few words on each line.
Yeah. So I kind of separated them. These are more like user pain points. So when you vulnerability search, which was a feature we added last sprint, it loses focus on the search box if you switch between exact search and fuzzy search, because it was creating a loading spinner that was refreshing the whole page. So that's fixed. This next one on the host page, if you're deleting iPad and iOS hosts, it said something about OS query or whatever on it. So we just cleaned that up by making it more generic delete modal. This next one for live querying from the host details page. As an observer, it was sending the user to the edit query page, which recently we removed observers' access to that edit page. They saw like a non-editable field, but that was removing the host ID, which was what was letting the user query that specific host. So it kind of like got rid of that, the whole like keep the host ID as you're going through that flow. So that's now fixed. This one I kind of wanted to show. So if you are on your host table, just because this has been bothering everybody forever, you can now click on, the different platforms, but you won't see an extra pill over here. And that's because we were able to fix, if you click on this thing again, it will unselect the platform or the label. For labels, we did leave that extra pill on there, and that's because we have not yet designed, sorry, I forgot to have a custom label on this because I restarted my database. We have not yet designed being able to edit or delete labels in any other manner except by clicking on the label and then clicking on those. So hopefully that will be coming soon. But what is nice is if you were to go to a custom label, which I just had open, so let me just go back. I have one open, maybe not. What is nice though is we made it so if you do have a custom label, so I know somebody just added Fedora, the sprint, so label number 17, you can still, since the API returns it, the UI still allows it. Yeah, this is a little hacky way to see your Fedora hosts in the UI. And if you want to close that, you can go ahead and close that here. Cool. So that was a nice fix. This one was for fleet free. We don't show severity, so remove the severity column on a software table. When a label name already exists, we just say, sorry, you can't make that label, but actually we made a better error message saying that label name already exists. For the host details page, this was another pain point. So if you go to your host details page, software table, actually this might not work right now because who knows. Let me go here, software table. This was super painful. If you had selected one of these, you can see this on dog food, but I'm not going to show everyone's information. If you have one of these selected and you clicked on something else like this, any kind of action on the table, it would send you back to all software. So that is now fixed. What else? Renaming a team now closes the modal after saving. Oh, this is another nice one. When you are going to install and uninstall software here, if you do not have scripts enabled for that host, this is now grayed out, so the user can't click on something that won't work 100% of the time. So, and it has the same tooltip as the run script tooltip that says, hey, you need to enable scripts for your host. What else? And then these are just visual styling bugs. We had some drop down styling nits. The about section can overflow if you have a long email address or MDM URL. And remove host details drop down wrapping is just we wanted it all on one line when you were looking at those details drop down. And that's it. Sorry, that was quick.
Okay. Thank you. And again, same rule, Jacob, quick go through the list.
So last release, we released support for no team for policies. The team's drop-down kind of help text now reflects that. So instead of saying for all hosts, it says hosts on no team. This fix had to do with basically the UI is now going to trim. It's both going to not allow the user to enter names with leading and trailing white spaces. Well, it's going to trim it after they enter it, and the API calls will trim it. Caveat: this is just UI, so the users can still add names with leading and trailing white spaces via the API or CTL. This is we were just limiting the width of some things here to prevent a scroll. Here we added the overarching kind of the size of this viewport is not supported. Empty state for the My Device page, it was missing. And this was a small update to the display of a certain URL and allowing the copy to clipboard icon to appear clearly. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. And last one by Team, degraded schedule query performance. Team, quick presentation.
Am I sharing the right screen? Yeah. Real quick on this one, this affected customers that have high volumes of live queries, particularly those who are using a zero trust workflow and running lots and lots of live queries. The fix is twofold. One is to kind of clean up records more aggressively in the queries table, and the other optimization there is to better handle, just kind of better query and handle larger volumes of queries in the database.
Okay, great, thank you. Luke, back to you, but we do have one more thing. It's a bug fix for the OS query lost in the document, but maybe customer success wants Lucas to present it, to demo it, because I think it was important. So up to you.
Yeah, you just wanted to go ahead and do that one now?
Yeah, Lucas, you want to present the auth table first, and then we'll go to Mark?
Yeah, I can do it. It shouldn't take long. So on macOS 15, maybe I should open the issue. Auth table returns no results on macOS 15. Basically, macOS 15 changed things, so the auth table is not working anymore in OS query. And thank you, Zach and Brock, for finding an alternative to how we can get that data from the OS. And this is what we get. I mean, it's not like perfect, but this is my machine. So let me just do this real quick. So OS version. Let's run this on my machine. I believe I'm on 15.0.1. And we can see now that we are populating global state, login enabled, and stealth enabled somewhere over here. I have this disabled just for this demo because VMware was broken by the update. But anyways, it's working. I mean, and I think we're gonna release this change on 5.14.0, being released anytime soon.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully we'll get that into the next OS query. And that's all for our team, Luke.
Thank you. And was that the only bug that we found with macOS 15? The only one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I think for the OS query, yes.
Yeah.
Was
Cool.
have a déjà
Yeah,
vu.
we didn't have any bugs with Fleet Core. There, we did find one with OS Query, which this addresses.
I do have one shout out for a Fleet update that went out yesterday that Martin tackled. It was occasionally for Windows installers, MSI and EXE, where they would be stuck in pending. This was a Fleet update to make it so that there is a now maximum timeout of 1 hour for installs before Orbit will give up on the install. And that's what ultimately the reason that happened was the installer was then launching the application. And since the application was open, it looked as if the installer was still running. So we were just waiting on it, even though it succeeded. So now at a maximum of 1 hour, it will time out and look as if the install failed, but then upon reinstallation, it'll see that it's there and it'll work. So those were the very edge cases where it would clog up the install queue.
And that was the one causing the Windows installs to get stuck on pending.
Yep.
Great. Awesome. Thank you everyone for the prep. And I know that goes into this and taking the time to watch and share. We actually did finish in 1 hour. That's pretty amazing. So
we still have Martin, right?
I think that was the one
I just shouted out.
Oh,
sorry.
George was
shouting out. So first one, we did it in an hour. So great job, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.